Hey guys! I'm doing a chakra removal session today. This is for Abigail, and we're going to get focused on integrating her energy bodies into her heart portal and bringing that heart portal energy to the forefront of how we process our thoughts and our feelings, the way that we're speaking from the heart, all of that stuff. We're going to get it integrated into the heart portal, and any type of energetic resistance for heart center energy, we're going to go ahead and give that love, help that to find balance within itself and release it into the light, okay? So Abigail, thank you so much for your open-mindedness to share the session on YouTube. And I'm going to relax now and get connected with your spiritual atmosphere. Okay, I'm just continuing to relax my energy field. Okay, so it's just very relaxed right now, but it's all dim and dark. I'm not able to see anything, so I'm just allowing the energy to continue to process and show me more. But it's very relaxed, and it's not necessarily like I am peacefully relaxed. It's more so I'm waiting in the doctor's office to get called in to go to my doctor's appointment. So it's sort of like I'm just relaxing, waiting. But there's no real relaxation, right? So it's just sort of like that feeling is going on right now. Okay, I'm going to do some digging around because your energy field is just wanting to present this. Doesn't want to tell me anything else right now. I'm going to just feel around the space here. And I'm going to continue to walk through. This is really important. This beginning here is really important. I suppose my expectations was something brighter, but it isn't necessarily not bright, but it's really resisting. It's in a resistance state. So I'm just going to continue to walk through this space, this dark space, okay? That's waiting or relaxing kind of thing. And I'm walking on a platform now, and it's opening up to the heart, okay? And the heart is, it's sort of like, it's as if the heart is supposed to be a trophy or a medal or our most spectacular essence. But your heart isn't celebrated on that level. Your heart is, the energy here does not say I am celebrated. The energy here says I'm stuffed in the back of a closet, but I am here. I am here. You can access me. But there's something darker about the heart shapes, or if we're looking at a heart shape and it's really red here at the top, and then it kind of fades into like a blacker color at the bottom of the heart. And then the whole space is sort of rounded out space, is kind of black everywhere. So this is supposed to be your trophy room. This is your special place. This is your heart center, your heart portal. So it's not, the celebration energy is just echoing through here. It's just, this is what we're working with here. Heart feels tired. And I'm looking at the heart kind of like a interior decorator, and I'm sort of looking around the space, and but it's almost like even even more interior decoratory personality, like maybe somebody who makes clothes for models. And I'm like really kind of a snooty personality, but I'm very certain about my style and what looks good and what doesn't look good. And I'm sort of giving instructions to snip this here, clean that there, go do this. So that's what I'm doing here in your heart portal space. And I'm really focusing on, we've got to get rid of this, the point, the heart shape that comes to the point. It's like it's like I'm telling one of my helpers to get a really long sword and just whack off the gray part so we can't see that. And that way the heart is red and all we see is the red heart. And even though it's not a perfect heart shape, we can work with that. We can't work with a perfect heart shape that has a black point at the bottom. So the sort of this personality here is just sort of like, we need to cut this here, we need to trim that there, we get to do, all of these things. And nothing really feels like it is fixing you or correcting your energy balance. It's ideas, it's putting ideas into action, but the ideas we're putting into action are not going deep enough in order to bring balance. And they're not really taking notice of how beautiful your heart is just as it is, and how beautiful this heart portal space is just as it is. Instead, we need to cover up the problems. So we need to cover up all this stuff, and we need to fine tune it. We need to make it pretty without just letting it be as it is, and getting deeper beneath the surface of as it is to bring out that more enriching color and that more enriching energy. And there's something of okay, I hear the words fine-tuning, and then I also experience what is the smallest violin in the world playing you a song. So it's something like a crybaby, and now we're going to play you the smallest violin, something of this kind. But the strings of the violin are really sharp, like you could cut cheese with those strings. And there's something about this violin, the strings of this violin are cutting into your heart. They're like going to cut your heart into two pieces. So as you can see, what is all this riffraff? What is this this model fashion designer person is riffraff. Oh, boo-hoo, I'm going to just play you the smallest violin in the world. Riffraff. Smallest violin in the world, riffraff, has sharp string that is cutting your heart into two pieces. So this is riffraff. It's sort of like, why is this in here in the first place? Why is this your balance? Why is this the identity? What is this all about here? Because what's truly you is nothing to do with anything we've seen thus far. This is sort of like outside influences somehow defining your worth and value, and now we have this heart portal space. But this is not enriching you. This is not enriching you. So we need to do something to bring balance to all of this. Gosh, the strings from the violin, I get the pleasure of experiencing. It's sort of like your heart is a piece of meat, and we're putting all of our weight down on cutting the piece of meat into two pieces, and it's slowly ripping apart. The heart is actually ripping into two pieces, and the string is cutting it in half. It's painful, okay? It's painful. Like, gosh, that hurts. Ow! Yowzer, that hurts. Man. But we're just going to relax it all down, okay? Man. How do you relax it all down when it hurts that bad? Got to relax it all down here. Gosh. Still echoing the heart being ripped into two pieces. And I can feel it. And it's just like, oh, my soul movement's going on here. Okay, still moving. Okay, it's getting relaxed again. It's getting quieter. It's getting something of the venting has been happening, so it's sort of coming into a better balance. But let's just see what happens next, okay? Okay, this is strange as well, because in this silent energy, we're walking to the other side of, so we have sort of a platform here. We're inside of a spherical space, a large spherical space. Where I'm walking across the platform, I'm just appearing on the other side of what is a suspended heart. I'm walking forward, and there's a bunch of gentlemen here. They're like politicians or something of this nature. They're just standing here, and it's sort of like politicians talking. They're all men in suits. They're older men. There's something about them that makes me think of politicians. They too are talking amongst each other, and it's sort of like I'm going to vote yes, I'm going to vote no. My people need me to vote yes, because I believe in yes. Whereas other people are, I'm voting yes because I just want to get reelected. This guy's saying no because I believe in no. This guy's saying no because, well, I want to get reelected, and a lot of my people don't want this. So it's just sort of like, yeah, it's like a badgering conversation of, and nobody, like, what is the real honest truth here? How do we truly feel? There's no resolution. It's just like a bunch of people that want to talk and resolve nothing. That's kind of what this feels like. In your heart portal space, on the backside of your heart, there's a bunch of people talking and wanting to resolve nothing. They just want to talk. My spirit guides say they are wanting to resolve things, Abbey, and they're choosing to resolve it in their own way. This particular individual is choosing to say yes because they believe in this. But this other individual is choosing to say yes, not because they want to say yes, but because they want to get reelected, and saying yes is going to give them the best edge in getting reelected. Now, this guy's going to say, so they're saying they really do stand by their choices based on their reasoning, okay? But they are making a choice. Now, and I'm saying, okay, well, that's great and all. They're making a choice, but we still have yes and we still have no. And they're saying, well, doesn't the political world, isn't there a consensus? So if there's 9 yeses and 8 nos, then the answer is yes. And so that's just the way it goes. That's how politics work. If there's 9 yeses and 8 nos, then the answer is yes. The majority always rules. It's like, this just bothers my heart a lot. I'm hearing you, spirit guides, I'm hearing you on this, but this bothers my heart a lot because there's something about this platform of problem solving that doesn't resonate with me. I don't feel like this problem solving actually solves problems, because only a portion of the people are actually making a choice based on their own heart. Other ones are making a choice based on getting reelected. So where's the heart in the actual consensus, the final decision? I don't relate to that. I say, well, how are decisions going to be made amongst many people that some choose yes and some choose no? How else are decisions going to be made? Taking a moment here. Just continue to look at this crowd of men and to feel what it means to me. And why is this in your heart portal space? somehow the longer I look at these men, the more sickly they become. And they're wanting to shield themselves from truth and love and higher awareness and wisdom. And they're actually, it's sort of like vampires in the sun. They're actually kind of, their skin is changing, like it's burning. They're shielding themselves. They're hiding. They're trying to avoid exposure. And it's all about love. I'm just continuing to just look at them with a loving gaze, and this is what's happening. You have a huge weight inside your heart as well, and it's sort of a purpley red color, and it kind of reminds me of, aren't they called bullseyes, those nuts? They're kind of an unusual blackish red nut. There's something to it that reminds me of that. Anyway, but it's heavy. It's really, really heavy. It's like it would take 10 men to lift this tiny little ball, and it's inside your heart right now. And I think they're called bullseye, the nut, this sort of nut is. And it wants to roll out. It wants to be removed from your heart. It's opening up. As this kind of comes out, it's opening up. I mean, I'm seeing a scene of war, and there's a soldier here with a gun, and it's just, he's pulling the trigger, and it's going bang, bang, bang. It was like, the gun is actually automatically shooting it. It's actually automatically working when he pulls the trigger. It's just automatically going. And I see all these sort of like pieces of bullet or whatever are kind of coming out the side. And so he's still shooting it and pulling the trigger, and it just keeps going, 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 going. And this is also sort of echoing out of your heart portal. And your heart is not just suspended, it's forced into place. I'm starting to see more, I don't know why, but we're just seeing what is bars attached to the heart, and the heart then is forced to be in place. And so there's still all this calamity. The men, the light isn't shining on them. The men are just back to talking again. Then there's this military thing, this noise over here. Obviously we have this, this designer, this fashion guru, making decisions. So we've got all of these sort of layers of noises, and we have this heavy weight inside the heart. And what next? Man, this is a big deal. There's a new energy shift going on, and it feels like your heart portal is filling up with like a dark bluish gray smoke. And this heart portal space is like a balloon that's filling up, a black balloon that's filling up with this. And there's just more pictures. There's so much noise going on, different versions of noise going on in here. There's a new picture, and the woman's arms are rounded and look like a wedding ring, and she's sort of her like husband to be, or her husband, they look like they're going to be getting married, but her wedding ring arms are wrapped around his body, and she's talking to him in a very sweet and loving way. This is also in the midst of all of this. Okay, now fingers are being cut off like carrots from the hand. And so there's another carrot, another carrot, another carrot, but it's fingers being cut off. It's like, what is this all about? I can't force the answer, so we just have to keep letting the images speak, and then we'll start to learn as we continue going forward. All right, I'm going to just relax it all. I'm just going to relax it all here. I'm just choosing to sit in front of your heart, and I'm going to sit on the platform. I'm just relaxing my spiritual atmosphere. I will say the tip of your heart has not been sliced off, and it is actually turning a redder color. So it's not so gray and black as it used to be. It's starting to turn more red. And the heart is wanting to be heard. The heart is wanting to express itself. The heart wants to be valued. The heart wants to have presence. So I'm going to ask your heart, well, what do you think about these politicians behind you? The heart isn't able to turn around to look at them, and it doesn't have eyes in the back of its head. So I'm just going to throw an idea out there. How many of us ever have moments inside our minds where we're trying to figure out what is the best choice to make in our life? And we'll think of all of the reasons why it's a good idea and all the reasons why it's a bad idea. And then we try to weigh the options, and then we choose the one that seems like the best choice. This seems to have the most positive benefits. And if I do that, then I'm going to have to deal with these negative sides to it. But the negatives don't really outweigh the positives, so I'm going to go with the positives. So in a way, you have like a bunch of politicians, which, I mean, I think we can all relate to this. Inside your heart portal, though, trying to weigh in what is the best, what is the right choice. But are they working with the heart in order to make those decisions? Or are they working with ego? Are they working with society? Are they working with fear? Are they working with the illusion? Because the political world, the governmental world is all about the mind, is all about logical, is all about society, the way that we see things. It's about the physical and the ego and all of that. But we're on a spiritual pathway, and spiritual pathway is about the heart. It's about seeing beyond what is at the surface of things. So sometimes the decisions that have all the yeses and just a few no's, we're focusing on the parts of the choice there's aspects of it that are intertwined with the illusion. So the reality is sometimes when the consensus is yes, it's actually going to gear you towards the same pattern, the same experiences that you've always geared yourself towards, because you're going to make choices that it's more safe or more comfortable for me to go in this direction. So I don't want to challenge myself. There's too much challenge involved in this, so I'd rather not go there. But there's something about the heart. The heart will sometimes say the best choice for you is the no direction, because the challenges involved are going to make you a better person, and on the other side of that rainbow is something more extraordinary than you have ever known. Otherwise, you can go the route of all the yeses, and the yeses could be the same thing, just new faces, And it's something I'm comfortable with. Well, I've been doing this my whole life, so I might as well keep doing this because that's the one thing I'm good at. That's what I know. But reality is, well, yeah, I can see why that's a good choice, but I can also see why it's a good choice to challenge yourself too. So the heart brings us out of the illusion and brings us into a new version of reality and decision making that has to do with heart-centered choices. So there's something about this, about the politician men, and they're making decisions in your heart portal, but you're not really asking your heart for the answer. You're asking the politicians. So you're asking your ego and your mind and the illusionary side of yourself to help you make decisions in your life. So there's something to this. So let's see what happens next here, okay? The heart is changing. I mean, the heart is actually I don't know, it looks more like a peach that's got a dark purple color on the inside, and it just went pluff. It kind of opened up, like it cut open, and then a bunch of its innards just pushed out. And it kind of looks like a peach. But it has like a dark purple color and an orangish, peachish color, right, on the inside. But it just kind of bulged out of the heart. The heart has a nut on the inside, like inside of a peach. And the nut also, the peach nut kind of, I don't know, this has like grooves in it, and it kind of reminds me of the texture of the brain. So there's something about this peach nut that also kind of reminds me of a brain, okay? So your brain is in the center of your heart. And it's hurting your heart. And I'm seeing the strings again of the smallest violin in the world that are cutting your heart in half. So we really need to work on getting this out of there. So I'm just going to continue to allow your soul to move. Your soul is just really wanting to release, okay? And you're saying, why me? Why is this happening to me? And you're crying and you're so upset. So you just allow it to vent, okay? Your heart's getting tougher, and it's not as easy to cut into two pieces. I see a man working in the meat market, and instead of having a knife to cut the meat slices, he's using a string. And he's trying really hard to cut this piece of meat in half, which is a reflection of your heart, and he just cannot do it. He just cannot do it. So your heart is getting stronger. And it's not choosing to be vulnerable to abuse, to let the string cut it in half. The string of the smallest violin, it's just like teasing you when you're sad. It's just rude, you know? It's just a rude thing. It's like telling you don't have a right to be sad when you do. And then it wants to come in and cut your heart in two pieces. It's just not right on so many levels. Okay, you're screaming. Your heart has a nut inside of it. You're screaming right now. And there's a man that comes and he covers your mouth so we don't hear the scream, and he takes a knife and he stabs it into this nut inside of your heart. In your heart, it looks like a peach. And everything is dark, and you're being forced down, and you're being what is like murdered, but you're not dying. But he's really hurting your heart a lot, and he just stabs this knife in over and over and over and over again. And it's just like he's making sure that you can feel it. You can feel how bad it hurts. Everything is relaxing again. That again was another vent inside your spiritual atmosphere. So everything is relaxing again. Oh my gosh. Okay. Something happening. A little bit of soul squirm going on here. We're making it through this. We're doing a great job. Okay. What next? What next? Okay. So something a little bit drier. I feel like I'm in the nut inside your heart. And it's dark. It's black everywhere. It's hard to know which direction to take. It's a lot bigger than you would think on the inside. I mean, it's like its own infinite universe, but it's a maze. I mean, it's a bunch of pathways. And then it's all black and kind of like dried wood on the inside is kind of what it feels like. But there's kind of a sogginess about it, just like a peach, like the nut inside of a peach. Kind of on the outside, it's got like a sogginess to it. And you're walking through this. This is really helping your heart to feel a lot better. So you're just continuing to walk. You're getting exhausted here in your mental body. You're very, very exhausted in your mental body. And kind of a delirious reaction, and it feels disoriented in the mental body as we continue to walk through the nut. The nut, again, reminds me of what it looks like a brain. But it's also a nut. Or a seed. I suppose you call it a seed, huh? It's a big old seed. Oh, we're just gonna keep letting things move and letting things release. Oh, okay. There's a huge, I'm telling you, there is a huge movement between what is the seed in your heart is sort of like there's some sort of connection between the mental body and the heart portal, and I'm allowing that to kind of disconnect because it's not a balanced connection. This is not a balanced, healthy connection. So that attachment here is got to go back into the mental body region, okay? And then the heart portal needs to get brighter. Then the heart portal needs to be itself, all right? And it needs to get louder and prouder and brighter. And then everything else starts to work in balance and harmony with the heart portal, okay? Oh gosh, this is an exhausting walk, and I feel like I'm in a maze trying to solve a problem. I'm like trying to get through the other side of this maze, and I can't find my way out. I can't figure this one out. And I almost feel like I'm never gonna figure it out. So it kind of feels like that too. I'm angry. My eyes are starting to get like they're starting to glow and burn with anger. I'm really angry right now. Heart is starting to kind of burn as well. I'm mad again. The screaming woman, right? It's just she's coming out here. She's screaming. Okay, it's relaxing again. Everything's relaxing substantially again with the mental body. It feels like disoriented could fall asleep. It feels that relaxed. Continue to walk through the seeds. I'm actually at a straightaway here, and the walls are much wider now. And it's like a dark brown color to the air and the walls and everything. And I'm just walking straight ahead here. There's some black doorway, or I can walk through this doorway. It's just a black shadowy space. And I'm walking through here. There's some saws on the ground that come up to try to saw me in half. I have to walk kind of like, I don't want to walk straight ahead. I'll cut my foot off or something like this. Obviously, these saws are going to have to go up really high to cut my torso, and they're not tall enough to cut me in half. So I'm just walking my feet along the edges, so the saws don't hurt me. A lot of exhaustion here. Emotional gut is now releasing some stuff. Wow. Okay. All right, so your spiritual atmosphere is exhausted everywhere right now, so I'm just going to take a moment to relax. That exhausted energy is inspiring me too. All right, I'm just going to relax here. I'm going to welcome the universe to show me the next thing. There's a hand that wants to pull out the seed this in the side of the peach, and it keeps reaching for it, but it's like the fingers don't work. And it keeps reaching for it, but it can't grasp it. It just can't grasp it. And the hand kind of looks like a monkey hand in a way. It doesn't look like a human hand. It looks kind of like the hand of a monkey. It just can't grasp it. And it's frustrated and angry that it can't grasp it. It wants to have the seat. And it feels angry inside its own heart, but it doesn't necessarily go totally into anger. It just wants to grasp it. So it's jumping up and down like an angry, like a monkey, and it's making noises. Wow, what do I do next? Your heart is on a wheel, and it's sort of like the center of the wheel is your heart, and then there's a wheel spinning around it, like a wheel of fortune. But they don't show me if it's like all different colors of the rainbow. There's like 100 shades of color, all the colors of the rainbow. And this wheel spins, but if it were to stop on a color, the what you win is that color, I suppose. We don't have a message related to this. This too is very exhausting in your energy field. Everybody just wants to go to sleep. Everybody's disoriented. Your mental body and your heart portal region and your emotional body are all feeling tired. So I'm just gonna relax a little bit more because I don't wanna overdo it. This is what's coming out of your heart portal. All right, we're making progress here. Things are feeling a little bit more energetic in the mental body, emotional body, heart portal region. But your heart portal feels like totally blocked, like jammed up. It's really full of different blocks in your heart. All right, I'm going to take a step back here. I'm going to ask your higher self, spirit guides, what do you want to show me next? Because the more I focus on this, the more exhausting it becomes, and there's so much to do. I can't just take the blocks away. We got to go through this one layer at a time. So as much as I want to, there has to be versions of self-awareness for your deeper consciousness before I can just remove a block. So I'm just going to step back for a moment. Okay. And I'm going to ask your spirit guides and higher self, what is the best way forward from here? So they're showing me the string of the smallest violin is now being removed here. We don't want that in your heart portal. So they're asking me to remove the smallest violin, and then it's like a full-sized violin string, but we're moving all of these ideas from your spiritual atmosphere. So out with the violin, out with the string. We don't need these anymore. We don't need to test the strength of your heart. We also don't need to test the strength of your emotions, test the strength of how well you can tolerate being teased, that sort of thing. So we don't need to test your strength anymore. So we're removing those reflections, okay? Also, we don't need the politicians in here because they're distracting you from making heart-based decisions. Instead, of you're making more mind-based decisions and kind of political, like more politician-based decisions. What's weighing the rights and the wrongs and what's best in us? Sometimes you gotta let your heart guide you, and sometimes the heart will guide you in the most challenging direction. So you have to get rid of the politicians so you can make heart-based decisions, okay? Politicians are angry. Politicians are telling me that you need them to make smart decisions that are going to be for the benefit of everybody, everything inside your whole body. Your whole body is counting on you to live a stress-free life, not a stressful life. So you don't need to get heart-centered. You need to get head-centered. Head is what is going to help you live a stress-free life. They're full of jargon here, because I know that some ideas sound like a good idea. Head center does not actually create balance. We can see from society that head center world does not create balance. Heart center world does create balance. So they're freaking out because ego always freaks out when you say that. Ego, you need to relax. Ego always gets vulnerable. Ego takes offense. Ego is what it is. It's ego, you know. Ego is number one. Ego needs to control everything in the body. Ego needs to decide. Ego's a big baby. You better like ego. You better worship and praise ego, or else. So ego is full of all these types of ego-based challenges, right? So when ego feels threatened, ego becomes a big pain in the butt, right? But we just have to love ego for ego. We have to say thank you, ego, because the politicians, the decision making has really, really helped Abigail in her life. Has really been very helpful and supportive of all the parts of the body, and really helped to try to make the right decisions. The right decisions being the ones that creates the least amount of stress. And I really do relate to that type of thinking. And I can understand why that has value. And I'm showing ego that you've done everything right, ego, and nobody's saying you haven't. And I want to thank you for everything you've done to help Abigail in her life. And you know what, ego? I'm going to actually let you take a vacation. And I'm going to let you kick your feet up, and I'm going to let you just relax while we put the heart in the forefront of the decisions. So now you don't have to be responsible for everybody in the body, in the energy bodies, in the physical body, everything. You don't have to be responsible for everything. And now that you don't have to be responsible for everything, you can relax now too. Because you too need to relax, ego. And heart really wants to take over in a way that gives heart the ability to really get connected with everything. Let you take a break. Ego loves everything I'm saying here. Ego loves the idea of taking a break. Ego loves the idea of not being responsible for everything. Ego just doesn't think the heart has what it takes. Ego feels like ego is the best man. So ego needs to bite the bullet and keep being ego. Just continuing to look at ego with love. I'm just drawing a heart shape with a happy face on ego's heart, and then sharing the love with ego. I'm drawing a heart with a happy face above ego's head, drawing a heart with a happy face below ego's feet, drawing a heart with a happy face in the third eye, and in the throat, in the emotional gut, and the sexual body, and all the energy bodies. It's helping ego to feel more relaxed and more in the vibration of love. And when ego becomes in the vibration of love, ego becomes one with love. And love now transforms into heart center, okay? Ego is still vulnerable and is starting to want to become an infection, to prove that heart doesn't have what it takes. So it wants to lash back at heart. It wants to prove that heart, that everybody needs the ego. And the heart is going to ruin everything. So ego is now reacting, okay? So ego has become heart, but now ego is branching out as heart, as all this stuff, and it's sort of still holding on to ego. And as ego, it's creating all this chaos to prove that heart doesn't have what it takes. But it has never really truly let go of itself yet. So we're looking at the fashionista guy, and it's about perfection, about attaining perfection, getting it as perfect as we can, working with the materials that we already have, and perfecting what we're already working with. Still working with the illusion instead of the heart of things, because there's no such thing as perfect. And what you are right now is perfect. So you don't need to become more perfect than you already are. And so we need to release that frequency from your spiritual atmosphere as well, from your heart portal. Because you already are perfect just the way that you are. And you don't need to perfect what you are by even destroying parts of yourself, for instance. But you need to just love everything. All of what you look like, all of what you feel like, everything is what makes you perfect right now. Ego's mad at me. Ego's jumping out of the heart and wanting to rip the fashionista into pieces. How dare you? Love yourself. How dare you? Let the heart just be as it is. How dare you? So we're getting other parts of your spiritual atmosphere to work with the heart instead of with ego, and ego is feeling even more threatened. So that's okay. That's like totally normal here. That's perfectly fine. Ego has to vent as much as ego needs to vent. Now we just got to be patient with ego, okay? Again, there's a screaming woman. I mean, a very blatant screaming woman sound. This creates a lot of exhaustion. When we hear her scream, it's like the mind and the emotions and the heart all just instantly become exhausted. She's still screaming. And she's being murdered. She's being stabbed into the heart. And she's screaming. But you see, it's not like this stabbing is killing her. It's being experienced, but is not killing her. And she's just screaming forever. So I need to do something here. I'm going to the screaming woman and the man with the knife, okay? See, if I give the man a chance to just stop what he's doing, the woman gets so angry she starts to strangle him. And she wants to murder him. So either he's murdering her or she's murdering him. So let's see what happens next. She hates him so much she starts to turn into a terrible snake, and she starts to bite his face and inject poison into him. And then she starts to wrap her body around him and squeeze him really tight, and she tells him, "I want you to die," over and over and over again. And she keeps biting his head and even putting his head into her large snake mouth and just starting to like swallow his head, swallow his body, like everything. She's just like tying him up, choking him, suffocating him, poisoning him, everything, eating him alive, everything. She's doing it. She hates him. And now in another scene, while she's strangling him and doing all this stuff as a snake, she simultaneously takes the knife out of his hand and starts stabbing him into the heart millions and millions of times. He never screams, though. He just looks at her, into her eyes, and smiles at her and tells her, "I love you." And she hates him even more for saying that. She takes the knife and slits his throat and then cuts his tongue out. But guess what? She's not screaming anymore. And he's still smiling, and he has his tongue, and she hasn't ruined his heart, and he says, "I love you." He's relentlessly full of love. And it's so confusing. But you wanted to stab me in the heart. How is it that you're the one that loves me now? How is it I'm the one that is behaving as you? How is this happening? He asks her to put the knife down. He asks her to transform into herself and stop being a vicious snake. He asks her to hold his hand, and he will hold her hand. And to take a walk with him out of this place of chaos and self-destruction. She's crying, and she feels jammed up in her throat and in her heart. She just wants to know what love is. He says, "I know." He never attacks her. He never does. He never manifests a weapon. He never cuts her in the throat. He never does anything. He never hurts her again. It's what it's like. And they're walking side by side. And it's like, again, back to the beginning where there's like a relaxed fog, but it's black everywhere. So they're walking on a platform into a space. And he's asking her to return to her home. It's odd because he has a gun now in his hand, and he points it at her and he says, "Go." And he encouraged her to walk into the heart. He wants so bad to shoot her in the heart when she's in the heart itself. He just can't pull the trigger. And he starts to scream to the universe and say, "Why? Why can't I pull this trigger? Why can I not destroy her heart? I hate you." And then he takes the gun and he throws it to the ground because he knows he can't pull the trigger. I'm looking at a military, like an army man, all green face, green outfit, and shooting this automatic weapon. And it never stops. The shooting never stops. I run the gun out of bullets. He has nothing to protect himself with now, he tells me. I need this gun to protect myself. I say, "No, you don't. Now get out of that trench and now walk. Straight ahead, fully exposed. Take your helmet off, take everything off, and walk. You do not need to protect yourself. You're shielding yourself with your arms because you insist there's bullets flying at you, but there aren't any. There are no bullets. There's a screaming sensation still happening. And you just want to be set free from all the pain, from all the hurting, from all the illusions. And you want to trust. You want to trust that life can be a good place, it could be a happy place. And tell the man that you're not meant to be separated with this woman. You're meant to be a part of her heart. Don't fight it, and don't try to hurt this gift either. And put your gun down, you don't need it. He feels kind of naked and embarrassed. And so he becomes the soldier who putting back on the military uniform. I say, no, the soldier is walking around naked. You can't, you're exposed. You don't get to hide behind clothes even. You're exposed. Now walk into her heart. And heal. He is so ashamed, he's so hurt, he's so angry, and it's all inside of him. It's all inside of him. It's not inside of you, it's inside of him. And it somehow instigates the worst in you, but it also brings you back into balance too. And it's his turn now to become in balance. He has to become in balance. And he has to let go of protecting himself from his own fears. And he needs to face his fears, and he needs to open up to love. What is your love, your heart? It's interesting because there's somebody that comes and he's all dressed in black, and this person is like an angel that's all dressed in white. He's much shorter now. He looks sort of like a 4-foot tall man with a leather jacket on and black pants. And this angel of light is picking him up and putting him into her arms and is taking him to heaven now. Because it's time for you, Abigail, to heal without this interference, okay? Whatever that interference is a reflection of is time for you to heal inside your heart. Time for you to heal. You're exhausted, but you're feeling a lot more balanced. You're feeling stronger in your heart. You're feeling like your heart is strong enough to help the other parts of you to start working with love. Ego has no power anymore because you're choosing love, fully choosing love, okay? Ego only has power when you feel unsure. And when you start getting focused on love as the only thing that is real, ego now is forced to accept that. But ego also appreciates it as well. Ego doesn't mind being told what to do once ego realizes how it helps ego and everything else in the body. Your heart's getting brighter and brighter, feeling warmer. It's feeling more like you in here. It's feeling more like you in here. And it's getting bright everywhere, even in this space. It's not really a black balloon anymore. It's just opening up. Everything is opening up and filling up with light. And your soul is expressing itself. It's really, really expressing itself. Your soul is moving and the heart is opening and the light is shining. And it's just like blasts all this bright light in every direction, and we don't need any of that other stuff. We don't know those politicians. We don't know the fashionista guy. We don't know the military guy. We don't know what any of that stuff was because it doesn't exist in your heart portal anymore. And we don't have a Georgia peach or seed or any of this stuff. This is all evaporated, and you're entirely in balance with your heart here. And you're letting that light shine behind you, in front of you, above, below, in every sacred direction. You're letting your heart portal shine. It's really, really bright. And you're crying too in relief and joy. You're letting go of some energy. It's just some energy junk in your mental body and your emotional gut. They just kind of like cords that just cut and they just released. So you can really feel just very heart-centered without the weights, okay? Yeah, you feel really good right now. You feel great. All right, I'm gonna take a moment here to disconnect from your spiritual atmosphere and come back into myself. All right. Okay, well, that's the end of your session. Thank you, Abigail, for your open-mindedness to share. And for those of you watching, if you're interested in exploring a session with me, please visit me at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. Thank you all for watching, and I wish you all a wonderful day.